What's up, YouTube? OCD for EDC here, and tonight we're going to do things a little differently. What I got for your face balls here tonight, we're going to take a look at two knives that are both budget knives, or what I would consider to be budget knives. I guess everybody's got a different opinion there, but both of these are titanium frame. We're going to call this guy here a titanium frame lock, even though it does have some carbon fiber scales over it, but those are pretty thick liners. Anyway, we'll get into it here. So yeah, what I got for you are these two knives. Both I think are pretty interesting, and the reason we're doing them both at the same time is because both of these have some pretty amazing fidget factor to them. And so if you're looking for a decent titanium fun to fidget with knife, both of these are a pretty good option. We'll roll this guy over so the clip doesn't get into the way. Alright, so let's line them up straight. Alright, get into some size comparisons here, just since that's what you have to do on YouTube, I guess. So up top there, we got Spyderco Manix 2. And at the bottom here, we've got Spyderco Para 3 Lightweight. And here they are against the Benchmade Bug Out. And one other kind of budget knife here. This one here is a Kershaw Freefall. So you can see here we're looking at kind of average size knives, you know, decent EDC knives. So yeah, let's get into it here. So what we're looking at, guys, the one on the top is this guy right here. This is a TwoSun knife. Both of these are actually manufactured by TwoSun. So you can see TwoSun logo right there. This guy here is called the TwoSun Boot Dagger, and its model number is the TS-52, 52. And so what you're looking at here is a titanium frame lock, and this happens to be a night morning design, and you can see they're in D2 steel. Now I am going to tear both of these knives apart so you can see the build quality, so we're going to kind of blow through this really quick, but just to give you kind of an overall view what we're looking at, that's the TwoSun TS-52. This one here, this is the TwoSun, again, TwoSun logo. There's the designer mark there. This designer's name, I'm probably going to butcher the hell out of this, but his name is Mazwan Mokhtar. Yeah, kind of a cool logo there, but this one's also in D2 steel. And we'll get into this one because this one actually has an update. You can actually get this same knife with a few improvements in M390. But this one here is called the TS-136, and the name of this guy is the Stingray. So again, titanium, what I would consider to be a frame lock that just has some kind of show scales over it. We got some really thin pieces of carbon fiber. But the carbon's really well done. There's no voids. You know, nicely done. Both of these guys are riding on ceramic bearings. And, you know, this happens to be a front flipper. And then you also have got the opening hole there, which Spidey flicking is perfect. You know, thumb opening. Kind of hard to do under the camera here, but, you know, you can see everything super well chamfered, like all TwoSuns. Centering spot on, you know, just really well done. So let's get into some measurements here. I'll give you a quick rundown of what we're looking at dimension wise on these two knives, and yeah, we'll go from there. So we'll start with the TS-52. So overall you're looking at 8.3 inches. You've got a 4.55 inch handle and a 3 3/4 inch blade. And now this blade is only sharpened on one side. It is ground really well on the other side, so I guess if you did want to make a true dagger out of it, you could and make it two-sided, but yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. The blade stock on this guy is 3.8 millimeter stock thickness, and they're 150 thousandths. And the handle thickness here, although this thing feels really slim in hand, you're looking at a 1/2 inch, not including the clip. So let me fold this guy up here. You can see how it's got these bevels towards the outside here. So in the center, the thickest part of this knife is exactly a 1/2 inch thick. And this is fairly well ground, but kind of the downside to a Dagger, this is a flat ground blade. You do have this fuller that runs all the way out to this, where this compound grind is. But the downside to doing a Dagger, you only have half of the blade height in this dimension to get down to your edge thickness. And so this guy here is a little thicker behind the edge. It's about 23 thousandths. So you're talking, Spyderco territory, PM2 territory for behind the edge thickness. And again, D2 blade. So, nice titanium milled pocket clip. This thing goes in and out of the pocket extremely well. And then you've got the double-sided flipper tab. This knife, because of the way it's shaped, it just feels so slim and great in the pocket. It's pretty fantastic. And the action, riding on ceramic bearings. It's got hardened steel lock bar insert, over travel stop, and ceramic detent ball. And you've got, really nice machined hardware. And the action is just really fantastic. It's a ton of fun to fidget with. So you've got the traditional flipper tab there, or you can, which I don't know if I can do this on camera since there we go. So you can also front flip this guy, and it works extremely well. You can slow roll it out by pushing down on one and pushing up on the other, and just kind of roll your thumb around. This knife's actually a ton of fun. This is one that honestly just kind of sits on my desk and I just play with all the time when I'm, dicking around doing whatever, messing around on the computer or whatever, doing work. So, but really, really nice quality craftsmanship on this. You got these holes going down. I think most of that was done for aesthetic reasons, and you've got kind of this fuller or groove that runs down the center that lines up and matches the fuller on the blade. The blade looks like Excalibur. That's kind of my least favorite part about this knife, honestly. I wish that it was just like a standard drop point blade shape or something, but I understand why they did it. And it's okay. I can live with it. It's a functional knife, and more than anything, the reason I'm doing this is because it's a good fidget factor knife, and it's cheap. So you can pick this guy up for, depending on where you buy it and what have you. I've seen him go for as low as like $40, and I've seen him go for as high as maybe like $75. So, but if you look at I don't know how well this is going to show up, but if you can see on here, there's kind of this random machining pattern on the titanium, and it's kind of reminiscent of the Spyderco Drunken, where you don't have it down the center, and it's not on the flats. It's only on these the angled sides, but it runs all the way down, and it's on both sides. So it's kind of interesting, and it does actually add some functional traction. It's almost, you can barely tell that it has some texturing on it when you run your finger over it, but it does absolutely add traction. So anyway, it's pretty cool. So TS-52, and let's get a weight on here. Should have been a little bit better prepared and had that ready to go. So 3 3/4 inch blade. Looking at 4.4 ounces. So, this thing actually feels lighter than it is. But 4.4 ounces for 3 3/4 inch titanium frame lock flipper. Not a bad weight. Like I said, super fun to play with. Really good fidget factor. You know, front flipper, standard flipper. It's pretty cool. You know, you can't finger flick this thing, but otherwise it's pretty cool. And zero blade play, just absolutely, the construction on it's fantastic. So we'll tear it down here in just a second, and it'll go super fast. So let's bring this guy back. So the TS-136, the Stingray. Again, we'll go through the dimensions here real quick. So you've got an overall length. This guy's a little bit shorter. It's 7 7/8 inches, so just under 8 inches. You've got a handle length of 4 3/8. You got a blade length here of 3 1/2. So pretty standard, you know, kind of EDC knife size here. Got the same blade stock, 150 thousandths or 3.8 millimeters. And the handle on this guy is a little thicker because of those carbon fiber scales that are on both sides. This here is just over 6/10 of an inch. So it's a little over 5/8 of an inch thick. And then this thing is ground extremely well. It is flat ground, but you can see here that we do have a compound grind, which is really kind of interesting the way that this blade is ground. It's like a Spanto. Anyway, behind the edge thickness here is consistent all the way around the tip at 17 thousandths. So a little thinner behind the edge. And this knife is really quite shocking at how ergonomic this thing is in hand, even for my big ass hands. You got this forward choil area right here, and you can see that the plunge grind was done extremely well, and you got a nice, you know, sharpening choil that kind of goes into that forward choil area. But when you get this guy in hand, you've got this thumb ramp up here with some really nice jimping. It's not too sharp, and just really, really well done. But this knife just, it really locks into hand well. But it's almost like you're pushing that direction with it, and the pocket clip offers pretty good traction so you kind of like have the knife in tension, and it just, man, it fits in my hand extremely well. Just really great. And this knife, because it's a front flipper, and you know, the jimping works great, front flipping, and you can, you know, spidey flick this knife, you can thumb flick this knife, and so there's lots of different ways that you can open this guy, and it's a pretty cool looking knife, just something different. So you do have this small backspacer here. It does run around, and you can see that the edge of the blade here is really close, but the backspacer does come all the way up to the edge, so there's no risk of getting the tip of the knife on your finger or anything. However, back here, I don't know how well you can see it, but my fingers are pretty big, so I can, if I push down in there hard, I can touch that blade. But someone with smaller fingers, absolutely, this is gonna get you. If you had smaller fingers, which most have smaller fingers than I do, so for most people, I think this would be a problem. And so, you know, hanging in the pocket and running your pinky by it, yeah, I think that could be a problem. However, if you check out TwoSun knives and look at the latest version of this knife, they fixed that problem. They actually came out with this knife in M390. Aesthetically, it is, or well, physically, it's the same dimensions. Blade is ground the same way, same clip. Instead of standard carbon fiber, it is marbled carbon fiber, which apparently is just the thing for this year. Anyway, so you get marble carbon fiber, M390 blade, and you get a backspacer that runs the whole length of the knife. And it's kind of a neat backspacer. It's got a milled out groove, just because this knife is so compact, and yeah, it looks really well done. I haven't had my hands on one of those, but in the pictures it looks pretty good. And again, super smooth, zero blade play, no lock rock, anything like that. One thing that I didn't point out on both knives, we've got hidden hardware for the pocket clip. Now, on this guy here, I told you guys that it goes in and out of the pocket extremely well, and it does. This pocket clip is fantastic. It's got perfect tension, super good ramp to get in. The ramp's a little more aggressive, so it's got good retention when it's in the pocket, and this thing's just fantastic to carry. However, the 136, I actually had to bend this up a little bit, so I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's actually standing off of the scales just slightly. Now, it does work well like this, but this pocket clip is certainly not my favorite. But it does, now that I bent it up so it's not so tight on the scale, but you can hear that, get by the mic there. So there is some space underneath it. So, you know, but for, again, you know, I think I picked this guy up for, I don't know, 40 bucks or something, 50 bucks, I can't remember. But for the build quality on it, you can pick these up really cheap. You know, certainly under $100. So we're talking like Civivi style prices. And guys, you know, I mean, nothing against Civivi. They make good stuff. I like their stuff, but you're not getting this level of quality for that kind of money. You know, you're getting G10, which there's nothing wrong with G10. I like it just fine. But this is more on Wii level quality for Civivi prices. So anyway, let's take a look at the weight here. So this guy, just to rehash it, it's 3.5-inch blade stock, and we're looking again 4.4 ounces. So both these guys are right in that just under 4.5 ounce range. So one of the great things about TwoSun knives is disassembly. And I'm just doing this so you guys can check them out and see the quality. All the hardware is T8, which is just really fantastic. O-rings underneath the screws. You can see the shoulder machined into the screw for the O-ring. This, you know, just keeps the hardware from backing off, and so you don't have to use Loctite. And that's it, guys. Simple 2-screw construction. And we're just going to blow through this really quick, but there's your ceramic detent ball, hardened steel over lock bar insert with an over travel stop. There's your hardware for the hidden hardware on the pocket clip, and then you got the awesome TwoSun washers with the milled bearing track, and then you can see where the blade stop on this one flies around there. It's internal to the blade. So we'll set that guy right there, and then go ahead and pull this blade off. So you can see here, there's your stop pin, and you can see where the detent track is, and you can see right here there's a detent ball ramp. I did not put that on. It came that way straight from TwoSun. I haven't touched this knife, or well, obviously I've touched it. I haven't modified it in any way. This is exactly how I received it. And I've had it for quite a while. Both of these I've had for a long time. I just have never showed them off here on YouTube. So there's some fuzz and stuff in there. But so here's the other scale. You can see there's no other weight relieving other than the holes just in the scale. There is a little milled out section here for the lock bar relief to disengage the lock bar. And then you've got a pin back here, a locating pin, as well as the barrel spacer, or not barrel spacer, the tube spacer for the hardware. And that's it, guys. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple. Just really simple in its construction. And then, obviously, I'm sure you saw it, but I didn't mention it. There's your ceramic bearings with nylon cages. Just, you know, really well done. And action, fantastic, super simple, take apart, put back together. And, you know, yeah, TwoSun just really makes good stuff, and for the money, you just can't beat it. It's unbelievable, and the D2, seems to be on par with just about all the other Chinese D2s. It's not the best D2 that I've ever handled, but for 40 or 50 bucks, it's absolutely adequate, and you know, and honestly, the way I look at these kinds of knives is this is, you can practice sharpening on these guys and that kind of thing. So, yeah, just I haven't had one of these blades rust on me yet or anything like that. Now they do fingerprint awfully bad, but that's just the nature of a belt ground satin finish. But you can see here, centering, spot on. Action is just perfect. Yeah, thing just, yeah, it's just good. And no blade play. So, yeah, there you go. TS-52. Real quick here, we'll pop this guy apart just so you can see this. This one's kind of interesting because of the scales here. Now you can see on this guy, it does not have that machined shoulder on the screws. It does not have an O-ring in it. So here where you've got the finished carbon fiber that the screw's sitting on, I've never had an issue with the pivot getting loose, so obviously they don't need it on this guy. But ooh. Huh. There it goes. Kind of stuck back there on one of the pins or something. So again, this is just a simple 2-screw construction. Good Lord. There it goes. Holy cow. And that barrel there for the back screw was, the tolerances were tight. So very similar. So you got your back spacer here, and you've got a locating pin, and then your hardware barrel. And here, just pull that blade off. So you can see there your screw coming through the back side. This is the show side scale, so you can see there's not a tool or a T8 Torx in the pivot there. But otherwise, no weight relieving. It's just a slab of titanium. But there's your blade stop track. Again, I haven't modified this at all, so you can see the detent track there, and you can see the really nice detent ball ramp and the blade stop and the ceramic bearings. So then on the other side here, we've got the awesome washer, again milled out for the ball bearings. You got your blade stop track, and then the hardened steel insert, over travel stop, ceramic detent ball, and this blade or the lock bar relief cut here was internal, which I really like. That on this one, with the carbon on the outside, yeah, I'm sure they just did that for aesthetics. It would have looked a little funny. It would have been a pocket that just caught a bunch of shit. But you can see here, my complaints with the pocket clip. It's kind of hard to tell that it's standing off the scale. There you go. There you can see it. So I had to bend it up a little bit, and it does function well now. It still has good retention. This just wasn't the best design clip. But honestly, guys, for this kind of money, I mean, yeah, you just can't beat it. I mean, look at the carbon. It plays with the light well. Really good carbon fiber, no voids in it. Really well done, and it's carbon all the way through. It's not laminated or anything. From the edges you can see it all, and you can see the screw underneath there for the lock bar insert, and there's a little milled out section right there in the carbon for it. So the over travel stop, they're not just relying on the carbon to hit the lock bar would never touch the carbon fiber, which is awesome. So, you know, there's actually an over travel stop right there, and that's what hits. So, you know, it's attention to detail like that, quality product. Just, man, it's just really well done. They keep impressing me over and over and over. And they're putting out a ton of stuff with, you know, original designs and cool stuff. Yeah, they do really good work. So, yeah, hopefully you guys will check them out and see what you think. And definitely worth throwing down a couple bucks to pick up a TwoSun knife. And, you know, if you're willing to spend 60 or 70 bucks on a Civivi knife, or a, you know, a Kaiser Vanguard series or whatever, you know, Artisans coming out with their new kind of budget line. I mean, you know, these are all Chinese made knives. And the thing about it is that I would put TwoSun up with, you know, Artisan and Kaiser and Wee and all that. You know, they build integrals and they build all sorts of really good stuff. You know, they build stuff like this, which is just absolutely an amazing knife, the TS-127. And this one happens to be in, if I can get it to show up there. Come on. I should flip it around. Yeah, S90V. So, and this is just a fantastic knife. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. And the quality on this guy, I mean, this is true titanium liners with a hardened steel insert. You know, all the same stuff, ceramic ball bearings, ceramic detent ball, hardened steel insert on a liner lock knife. And that carbon's all milled out on the inside. I mean, just beautifully done. Beautiful. With the super cool geared backspacer. Just, yeah. Anyway, this isn't about that knife. But, yeah, guys. The TS-136 front flipper, spider hole opening, whatever. Yeah. All this, both of them really well done knives. Check them out if you're looking for a lot of fun fidget factor for cheap. They're good quality knives and they're something different. So anyway, guys, I just thought I'd bring something different to the table this time, and hope you guys enjoyed it. Please leave any comments or questions below, and I will see you next time.